From hidden shrines beneath sacred temples to massive temple weapons capable of destroying entire star systems, these are all the Sith temples explained. So buckle up, because we're about to explore the most terrifying structures ever built in a galaxy far, far away. Let's start with the most shocking revelation in all of Star Wars lore. The Jedi Temple, that magnificent ziggurat that dominated Coruscant's skyline for millennia, was built directly on top of an ancient Sith shrine. And here's the kicker. The Jedi knew it. Picture this. Thousands of years before the Clone Wars, during the height of the Old Republic, Coruscant was a battleground. The ancient Sith constructed their shrine on a mountain peak, specifically targeting a light side Force Virgins. Their goal? To corrupt it with dark side energy. The massive dark structure stood defiantly against Coruscant's sky, a symbol of Sith dominance that could be seen for miles. But here's where it gets truly sinister. When the Jedi finally defeated the Sith in that ancient war, they made a catastrophic decision. Instead of destroying the shrine completely, they chose to build their temple directly over it. 4 Jedi Masters laid the foundations, believing they could symbolically bury the Sith legacy and neutralize the dark power beneath. But they were wrong. The Tarkin novel reveals that this shrine was constructed no later than 5 millennia before the Empire. That means for 5,000 years, dark side energy was seeping upward through the Jedi Temple's floors, subtly corrupting everything above it. The very halls where younglings trained, where masters meditated, where the Jedi Council made their most crucial decisions. All of it was tainted by Sith darkness. And the most terrifying part? The Sith Lords of Darth Bane's lineage knew about it. For 1,000 years, they kept this knowledge as their most closely guarded secret. While the Jedi believed they had cleansed the site, the persistent dark energy was slowly, methodically weakening their connection to the light side. Master Jocasta Nu later documented this in her Chronicles of the Jedi, writing shortly after the destruction of Starlight Beacon. She understood what many Jedi refused to accept, that their greatest stronghold had been compromised from the very beginning. When Palpatine rose to power, he didn't just convert the Jedi Temple into the Imperial Palace. He secretly excavated the ancient shrine beneath it, using only machines and his personal droid to maintain absolute secrecy. Even Darth Vader, his own apprentice, remained unaware of the shrine's existence as late as 14 BBY. Palpatine used this shrine as his private sanctum, spending countless hours meditating on the dark side and probing its mysteries. It was here in 3 ABY, while deep in meditation, that he sensed a disturbance in the Force. Luke Skywalker, the very shrine that had corrupted the Jedi for millennia, became the place where the Emperor first detected the growing threat of the Rebel Alliance. If the Coruscant Shrine was an insidious corruption, the Temple of Malachor was pure, unbridled destruction. Built by the ancient Sith Lord Darth Tanis, thousands of years before the Battle of Yavin, this wasn't just a temple, and it was a weapon of mass annihilation, disguised as a place of worship. The temple's design was as brilliant as it was terrifying. Constructed to resemble a massive holocron, it housed a colossal kyber crystal at its heart, capable of destroying all life on a planetary scale. But here's what made it truly diabolical. The temple itself could transform into a massive ship with a superweapon. The Jedi Crusaders caught wind of this horrific construct and launched what became known as the Great Scourge of Malachor. But they were too late. During the battle, the superweapon fired, instantly turning every living being on the battlefield, Jedi and Sith alike, into statues of hardened ash. The entire planet became a graveyard, frozen in time. Thousands of years later, when Darth Maul and Ezra Bridger rediscovered the weapon, they managed to activate it using a Sith holocron placed into an obelisk at the temple's peak. The weapon's power was so immense that when the holocron was removed prematurely, it triggered a chain reaction that nearly destroyed the entire structure. The temple's final moments came during the legendary duel between Darth Vader and Ahsoka Tano. As their lightsabers clashed within the crumbling structure, the temple began its death throes, leaving behind only ruins and the lingering echo of ancient evil. Korriban, the ancient homeworld of the Sith species, became something far more sinister than just a planet. It became a massive necropolis. The Valley of the Dark Lords stands as perhaps the most concentrated collection of dark side energy in the entire galaxy. The valley was converted into a massive graveyard for the lords of the Sith Empire. Colossal tombs lined the rocky valleys, each one a monument to a different Dark Lord. The tomb of Ajunta Pall, the first Dark Lord of the Sith. The resting place of Tuluk Hord, the legendary conqueror and lightsaber master. The massive sepulchre of Marka Ragnos, whose century-long reign brought about the golden age of the Sith. But these weren't just tombs, they were active dark side nexuses. The dead Sith lords interred within continued to add their malevolent energy to the valley's taint. Over thousands of years, this concentration of dark power made the Valley of the Dark Lords the single darkest place in the entire galaxy. Even millennia later, during the time of Darth Revan and Darth Malak, the valley remained so potent that it served as the perfect location for a new Sith Academy. Students would train among the tombs of ancient Dark Lords, drawing power from their lingering essence. Ziost, the adopted homeworld of the Sith and capital of their empire, housed what may have been the most imposing Sith structure ever built, the colossal Sith Citadel. This wasn't just a building, it was a statement of absolute power that could be seen from orbit. Built under the orders of the original Dark Jedi exiles, the Citadel's construction came at an unimaginable cost. Millions of slaves died during its creation, their suffering and death adding to the structure's dark side potency. The Citadel was so massive that it served as the beating heart of an empire that controlled over 120 worlds. What made the Sith Citadel truly terrifying wasn't just its size, but its purpose. This was where the Dark Lords of the Sith made decisions that affected entire star systems, where they planned conquests, conducted dark rituals, and shaped the destiny of countless worlds. The Citadel remained dark and oppressive millennia after it was initially abandoned, its very stones soaked in centuries of Sith malevolence. Even when the original Sith Empire fell, the structure's evil endured, waiting for new Dark Masters to claim its halls. Here's something that will blow your mind. The Rebel Alliance's base in A New Hope was built inside a Sith temple. That's right, the very structure where Princess Leia awarded medals to Luke Skywalker and Han Solo was once a monument to the dark side. After the fall of the original Sith Empire, the Sith Lord Naga Sato fled to Yavin 4, where he built great temples in the moon's dense jungles. But it was the fallen Jedi Exar who truly made these temples into something terrifying. Kun conquered the remaining Masaze warriors on Yavin and used them to expand the existing temples. The Great Temple, which would later become the Rebel base, was built under Kun's direct orders to serve as his primary stronghold during the Great Sith War. The temple became a place of unspeakable horror. Kun conducted twisted experiments and dark rituals within its walls, using Sith alchemy to transform the Masazi into grotesque creatures. When facing defeat, he performed the ultimate dark side ritual, sacrificing the lives of his followers to bind his spirit to the temples themselves. Even 4,000 years later, when the rebels occupied the Great Temple, those sensitive to the Force could feel its haunted nature. The spirit of Exar Kun still wandered its halls, and it wasn't until Luke Skywalker established his Jedi Academy there that the ancient Sith Lord's presence was finally confronted and destroyed. Not all Sith temples were built for conquest or ritual. Some were designed for something far more disturbing: experimentation. Darth Riven's fortress on the planet Almas represents one of the most twisted applications of Sith architecture ever conceived. Riven was a scientist, much like Darth Plagueis, and his fortress reflected this obsession with research and discovery. But this wasn't benevolent scientific inquiry, this was dark side experimentation at its most depraved. The fortress had an unexpected side effect that actually benefited the planet. Riven introduced a plant called the Koruscant, which removed Almas's poisonous atmosphere and made the world habitable. Everywhere except around Riven's fortress was covered with grass and foliage, a rare example of a Sith actually improving a world's environment. But don't mistake this for kindness. The fortress itself was a house of horrors. Riven kept test subjects in dungeons with walls that could block the Force, driving Jedi prisoners insane as they slowly lost their connection to the light side. He would watch his captives wallow in despair, taking sadistic pleasure in their psychological torment. The fortress was equipped with massive weapons capable of firing huge bolts of Sith lightning into space. These defenses remained active even after Riven's death, powered by the dark side energy he had infused into the structure itself. Perhaps most disturbing of all, Riven trapped the spirit of his own apprentice within the fortress walls. His autobiography, inscribed in the Sith language throughout the building, documented his twisted experiments and philosophical justifications for his cruelty. If you thought the other temples were dark, the Trayus Academy represents something far more terrifying. A place where an extremist sect of Sith sought not just to use the dark side, but to destroy the Force itself. Built on Malachor 5, a world already scarred by the mass Shadow Generator's devastation, the Trayus Academy was home to Sith who believed the Force was a manipulative, malevolent entity that needed to be eradicated entirely. This wasn't your typical Sith philosophy of using the dark side for power. These Sith wanted to end the Force's influence over the galaxy permanently. They saw both Jedi and traditional Sith as slaves to the Force's will, and sought to break those chains through the ultimate act of destruction. The Academy became a training ground for some of the most dangerous Force users in galactic history. Students learned not just to use the dark side, but to wound the Force itself, creating tears in the fabric of reality that could spread like a plague. The Academy's most infamous graduate was Darth Trayus, who would later become obsessed with finding someone who could survive without the Force, someone who could prove that life was possible beyond its influence. Some Sith temples weren't mere sanctuaries for dark side practitioners. They were weapons designed to hunt and destroy Jedi. The temple on Zigoola arguably stands as the most sinister example of anti-Jedi architecture ever conceived. Located on the wild space planet Zigoola, this temple was constructed of reddish-black stone and served as a shrine for Sith artifacts and relics. During the Clone Wars, Senator Bail Organa and Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi journeyed there following a trail of Sith activity. The temple's true horror lay in a malicious Sith holocron housed within, an artifact that did more than store forbidden knowledge. It radiated hatred and mental anguish, tormenting any Jedi who dared approach. Obi-Wan was assailed with visions of his worst memories, robbed of his connection to the light side, and subjected to hallucinations and whispered threats of "Die, Jedi, die" echoing relentlessly in his mind. Ultimately, Bail shattered the holocron, breaking the mental assault, and the temple itself collapsed in on itself, sending both Jedi and artifact into ruin. And that's just the beginning. The Sith left their mark across the galaxy, and in Part 2 we'll dive even deeper into the darkest temples and their terrifying secrets. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Let us know in the comments, which Sith temple creeped you out the most? Thanks for watching, and remember, the dark side has many layers. May the Force be with you.